What? Yeah. No, I'm behaving myself. No, I'm not playing in abandoned buildings. What? Again? Now, I suppose you had those people follow me again. Fine. Hey, this is Jimmy Pharaoh from Monte and the Pharaoh, and I want to thank all our subscribers. We have now passed 14,000 on our YouTube channel. But I want to ask our subscribers to take the next step for us and become a full-fledged member of Monte and the Pharaoh. Yeah, that's right, folks. There's 3 different levels to choose from. There's free shirts. There's free autographs. Just check it out and become a member of Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte and the Pharaoh. Later.
All right, welcome to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte and the Pharaoh, only seen here out of Indie Music TV. And at the board, episode number 2. Spidey in the house. Spidey, how are you, bud?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
Dude, I got to tell you, last week, smooth as silk.
Yeah.
Monte went from Monte mode
Yeah.
to very relaxed.
Man,
back to
were you-
regular life again.
You were mellow.
And this dude's got it wired tight.
Yeah.
Wired tight.
He's a wall crawler. He's Spidey.
All right, here we go, Pharaoh. Man cooked alive by deputies' taser at a gas station.
What?
Attorneys of a Florida man say he is still fighting for his life after being cooked alive in February when a sheriff's deputy allegedly deployed his taser while the man was covered in gas while fueling his motorbike. Gene Barretto, at 26, has third-degree burns over 75% of his body. His lawyer said on Wednesday. CBS Miami reports that surveillance video in February 27th incident show flames erupting near one of the pumps as deputies try to take Barretta into custody at a Wawa station. Ever been to a Wawa station?
No, but I've used a Wawa pedal.
Okay.
Little Hendrix, never hurt anybody.
Thoughts on that there, Jimmy Pharaoh?
Didn't they notice he might be covered in gasoline? I mean, if you're covered in gasoline and you put an electronic object and zap him. Someone's going to make a lot of money off of this, and it ain't going to be the police.
Well, the most probable cause of fire was an electric discharge from deputies deploying a department-issued taser device.
This is just...
But the question is, the guy was at Wawa. Why were they detaining him? What was he doing
Because
wrong?
he was at Wawa. He should have been at Shell.
I think basically what the issue is stop getting in trouble and you won't get tasered.
That's true,
and then
too.
possibly won't be put up in flames and burned
I
to
still
death.
think he's going to collect somehow.
Do you?
Yeah, you can't stick a taser in a guy covered in gasoline. That's a little reckless. You know, you got to know the situation. They're trained, aren't they?
If you didn't know it, that is the start of show, Mr. Jimmy Pharaoh. Jimmy.
Hi, how are you? How you doing, Mellow Mike?
Mellow Mike in the
Mellow
house.
Mike.
And I'm very excited for our special guest. We don't usually do the independent wrestler thing, and this guy's more than just an independent guy.
Definitely more than that.
Guy's actually in a pretty awesome movie. So we'll discuss it when we speak to him.
Absolutely. A little Secluna action, too, but we'll get to that.
I would like to thank the band that sings the theme song for Monte and the Pharaoh, our own Jimmy Pharaoh, along with his partner Bart Griggs, make up the band Wisteria Hall. Wisteria Hall sings such good songs as In My Dreams, This Life, Not Far Behind, Here Comes the Rain. You can find their music on the Wisteria Hall YouTube page. Hear them on Spotify, iTunes, and Apple Music. If you didn't know it, you are watching Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte and the Pharaoh. Monte and the Pharaoh could be seen on the Monte and the Pharaoh YouTube page, the Monte and the Pharaoh Facebook Live page, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, Twitch TV, Monte and the Pharaoh page, channel 115 every Tuesday at 9:30 and Saturday at 11:30, where we go head-to-head with Saturday Night Live. and Channel 20 at Tuesday at 1 a.m., where you'll be seeing our special guest, and he's a big boy.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I don't want to say a reduced version, but
No, it's not a reduced version
boxed
with a guy this
version.
size. Yeah, okay.
where
All right.
over 100,000 fans are watching us weekly. We want to thank Amazon Music for supporting Monte and the Pharaoh. We'll be right back as we present actor James, and I want to get this right, so James, correct me after commercial break, because I usually screw up people's names.
He screws up everybody.
Dijan Bonavia.
That's really good.
Hey, you did it. We'll see you in a second. I love Mellow Mike. That's right, folks. Canine Corral for all your dog daycare and overnight care. Call 631-549-1544. That's 631-549-1544.
Jimmy, I got to take a dump.
What?
No, I mean I need a dumpster.
Well, for all those needs, you need to call Big V Dumpster Rental, Long Island, New York, 631-900-DUMP. Elm Logistics, for all your logistic needs, call 631-299-3595. That's 631-299-3595. Elm Global Logistics, pride, performance, and partnerships.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte and the Pharaoh, where we have, I want to call you the Giant, dude. I just have to call you the Giant.
Yeah.
So, again, in this broadcast land, television land, you know, you run across all these different shows, and I've seen you on a couple of shows, and you're quite entertaining, and I caught you on The Brawler, which I thought was a really good movie. But I want to welcome you to the Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast. You have officially arrived, my friend.
Thanks, brothers.
Thank you.
I appreciate you having me on your show, and I'm happy to be here. Got a lot to talk about.
Well, good. We want to hear you talk. So before we even get into your life, I got to ask you one thing, right? I've seen you on some other shows, but I heard a rumor that like you had a comedy show and you like totally just beat the shit out of some comedian. Is that true?
What?
Well, you know how it is by the time this story gets around the corner.
Well, can you set the story straight? I really got to know.
So the deal is this: like, I've been a professional wrestler since 1996.
Okay.
Right. And when you dedicate, now I'm going to be 51 this year. So when you dedicate over half of your life to doing something, it's not like a thing. It's not a passing phase that you're going through. This is like something a person dedicates their life to doing something. It deserves some respect. But you know, at the same time, you take a joke. I love to have fun. You know, I'm pretty easygoing guy. James the Giant, gentle giant type of dude. You know, cool in the gang. You know, I'm not looking to start no problems. But this guy's having a really terrible comedy set. He's not funny. He's just up there ranting and like venomizing whatever he's going through on stage to the people who are there, and it was insulting a lot of different people, women and different stuff in the crowd. And then he got onto professional wrestling, and he was saying something to the effect that, like, if you're over 40 and you're still into professional wrestling, that there's something seriously wrong with you, that you need to get your head examined.
Oh.
Well, you could laugh about it if it's his joke, but then he keeps going on for about like 7 minutes, like still tearing down wrestling, or anybody who might be into the thing. So like everybody, like at this comedy show, knew that I was a wrestler, right? And I didn't know if they were doing this shit to gimmick it out or what, right? But then sometimes like enough is enough, right? So this guy's going on his thing, and I'm sitting here, and he's like over there, and I'm kind of low key when I'm sitting down. So then I seen him look the other way, and I standed up on stage, and then when he turned this way to look at me, I grabbed the mic out of his hand. I says, you know, for your information, you're sitting down tearing people down who are into professional wrestling that's over 40. I said, I happen to be a professional wrestler. And I've gone to places and done things for charities and places that the Undertaker would never go, where it's very risky to your life to go and to visit places in third world countries, and we've done so many different charity work. People like John Cena, Goldberg, Hulk Hogan, and people like this have done so much for charities and to help people, and they gave so much of themselves. And a bozo like you is going to sit up here over my dead body and tear down professional wrestling right in front of me while I'm just sitting right there. I says, and for your information, Dwayne Johnson is the biggest freaking star on the planet, and he happens to be a professional wrestler who's over 40. And that was it. Then I gave him the mic kind of back into his like chest there a little bit, and I went to sit down.
Was he shit a brick though?
I think there was like a puddle, something going on there.
802 asks, was that Tom Segura? What was that? Was that the guy on the stage?
That's who I was thinking.
First of all,
to be honest with you, I don't even remember his name.
I can't believe you're 50 years old, dude. You don't look.
No.
I thought you were 30 something.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Looks great.
Looks
great.
God bless on the
I'm
jeans.
still
Holy
competing,
cow.
you know.
Did this idiot continue his bit? Because he was already bombing. I mean, and now you've just jammed the microphone into his diaphragm. I mean, does the idiot continue with his shitty, set, his comedy set? Or,
Well, yeah, then he became a victim.
oh, now he's a
Then
victim.
he was up there saying, "Oh, victim, how should I call the police?" and this and that.
Interesting.
That's great.
Interesting. Very interesting. Tell us how it all started, about the origins of the Maltese Giant. I mean, how does this all begin for you?
All right. So ever since I was a young kid, I used to watch, professional wrestling. My uncle was on television on Channel 9 when we were all younger, I'm sure, right? We're in the same
And
age
your
range.
uncle, for the audience at home, is?
Baron Mikhail Cicluna.
Awesome.
And I
That's
grew up in Astoria, Queens, over here.
Okay.
And, everybody's from all over in Queens. Like, it's the most diverse community in the
For sure.
entire world.
For sure.
And people are proud of who they are and where they're from. And then when you would tell people that you're Maltese, they would say, "What's that?" Like,
Yeah,
the
well, yeah,
Maltese
where
dog?
is that? Yeah.
That's
Sure.
the only thing they ever heard of, like a
Well,
Maltese dog.
Real quick,
And
were you
then-
born in the country, or did you come from Malta?
I'm a dual citizen, but I was born here.
Okay.
But I've been back and forth like probably 26 times.
All right.
Okay.
And I have a place there as well.
Wow.
So people would say, "Oh, like the Maltese dog," and I'm like, "No, not like the Maltese dog," And they'd be like, "It's from the island Malta." They said Malta, like Goya, Malta, India.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "No, not Malta, Goya, Malta, India. I'm talking about Malta, the island nation country in Europe." And I was like, and then I would tell them, like the wrestler, Baron Mikhail Cicluna from the island of Malta. And that's the only way that people have even heard of the island of Malta here. Like,
Well
other than that,
connected,
people
right.
didn't know it. Now it's like a big vacation.
Well, dude, I got to be honest. When I
destination.
first
People
started
know about
watching it, they said from the Isle of Malta. I'm like,
I didn't know where
I
that was.
I was like, never heard of
You
Isle of
probably
Malta.
thought it was a gimmick.
I did. I did think it was a
made-up
gimmick.
place, like Lilliput.
Can you tell the fans at home where Malta is actually located
All right,
so they understand?
Good
All
question.
right, so Malta is the first point in Europe. You have Italy, Sicily, and then 60 miles off the coast of Sicily is Malta. And then you have the beginning of Africa, coming from Gibraltar,
Okay.
Tunisia, Libya, and countries like that on that side. So we are like smack that in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea. And it's the first point of Europe, and it actually has, the oldest traces of man-made civilization in the world, like
Really?
gigantic temple formations of rocks like 22 stories tall.
Wow.
And it's like the whole world broke apart, and those temples are still standing there. Like, it's pretty magnificent. And they're older than the pyramids by 1,000 years at least.
Wow.
Wow.
So there's a lot of cool things about Malta. You should definitely check it out.
Yeah, you said you have a house in Malta.
Yeah.
What's it like in Malta compared to the States?
Well, Malta is like a really cool place, kind of like the States. I mean, not the States today. I mean, the United States is in shambles today, but
Well, you know, right. I'm
Right.
talking about technology.
right.
things
But
like
I'm
that.
saying like the kind of like the way that we grew up in like the 80s and stuff. That's kind of like the way it is in Malta.
Oh, we're going to Malta.
Well, hold on.
Malta
There's still another
Now.
important question. Are the Malta women hot?
Oh, God.
the most beautiful women in the world. And I'm not biased. Like, I met this guy Diego, who does like a fire restoration company, and anyway, he's been all over the world in the military, and he told me that the most beautiful women he's ever seen is in Malta.
In Malta. All right, I'm going to test you here because I was in the military. I went to Italy. I was all over Europe. And I got to, I'm Italian. And I got to tell you, when I went to Italy and I was touring Italy for a while, I was a little disappointed in the women. I got to be honest with you. I expected more. If I was to go to Malta, would this old man be like, oh, yeah, James is right on the money?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
You got any photos?
That's
Maybe
a
you can
given.
show
Yeah,
them?
I can show you some
He's
stuff
got
later.
some photos. Nice.
I'll show you some Maltese broads.
Maltese. Damn.
Unbelievable. What do you got, Mike?
The best women in the world.
The best one.
The best women in the world. Now, wait a minute. You're Sicilian, and you
No,
guys
no,
are
no.
neighbors.
I'm Napolitan.
Oh, you're Napolitan. Let's get this clear then. So you're not neighbors.
Got to get that clear.
You're not neighbors.
I
then.
am not neighbors. No.
Oh, okay. All right.
But
Napolitan.
I'm Napolitan.
I stand
On a
corrected.
clear day from the island of Gozo, because Malta is like the main island
Right.
is Malta, and then there's a small island called Camino, and then there's the island of Gozo, and so that's the northern point of the islands. And on a clear day, you could see Sicily.
So could you see yourself living in Malta?
Oh, what, full time?
Yeah.
It depends.
Are you married?
I was.
Yeah.
I just recently
You're single.
getting in the midst of divorce after 27 years together and 21 years of marriage. But
Whoa.
All right. Well, you know what?
we held it together for a long time, and she's still a wonderful person.
Good.
Okay.
I wish her well.
Okay.
Time for a second part of your life, right?
That's it.
That's it.
So that kind of all determines everything. But I'm definitely going to be living, like, maybe I figure, like, in the end of it all, like, I'm going to buy a place in Nashville, and I'll be living like a couple of months of the year in Nashville, a couple of months of the year in Malta, and then that's
Why Nashville?
Because I also sing in a
There we go.
cover band.
I got you.
Could tell.
So
It's a big scene over there.
yeah,
Yep.
and I just want to do that. I just hang out, go down to the pubs and sing and stuff like that.
So, James, let me hit you with this now that you went into the venture that you're now recently separated or getting a divorce. Do you think that following your dream of being a professional wrestler might have affected your relationship with your wife?
Well, I definitely think that even like life is something that like it's almost like predetermined. You can't control it. What's been happening to me long before I even started wrestling one day, people used to stop me in the street and ask me if I was a wrestler. So like sometimes it picks you. And did I think that I was going to be still in good shape doing it this long and stuff like that? But I had given up opportunities, to be in the E, to get developed. In 2004, I had 3 different opportunities where they called me on 3 different occasions.
Well, how come you turned those down?
Because I had already got a great job, union job where I was like working as a handyman in a building, and for 9 years, and I got my licenses to become a super, and then I got a big building as a super, and with the apartment and the whole thing, and underground parking. I'm not going to walk away from that. Even my uncle told me, don't walk away from that. Don't leave your job for wrestling.
Right, I take that chance.
And I was already married, and then my son, I just recently had my son, so
You weren't playing around.
at that
Yeah.
time, you got to maintain health care for your family, and then like they would say, you better, they were developing second generation wrestlers at the time, and they said, this could be a good time for you, and I said, well, that's great, I wish I could come and do it, but I guess I made my decision when I got married and had kids, so there you go. Now my son is 20 years old. He made the dean's list in college.
Congratulations.
There you
So he's an awesome academic and music talent. And my daughter is also academically strong. She plays in marching band in high school. This is going to be a Sweet 16. And not being on the road, I got to be there for my kids' birthday parties or Halloween parties, for their chorus, for drama club, the plays, whatever they were doing. I was always there, so I got to spend that time. And a lot of these guys, they give that all up and they lose their families early. So I'm glad that didn't happen for me. But ultimately, yeah, she probably says, when are you going to slow down? When are you going to do this? When are you just going to lay back and do this and that? And I'm kind of like at that point now, but it's just a shame that
Yeah, I got you.
that we couldn't hold on there just a couple more years. But what are you going to do? You got to live in the present.
Sure.
A good friend told me that the windshield is big and the rear view mirror is small. So I got to just keep my head in the windshield now.
Interesting.
That's good advice.
Interesting. These offers that they gave you, were they... obviously, there was no guarantees then. Do they even take into consideration when they gave you these offers,
There
like
was
what you're
it
doing?
was a money offer developmental thing to go down to when they took over the power plant, to go to Georgia and train down over there. And I would have had to move my family there. My wife is from Long Island, from Babylon. She's a Babylon girl here. And you know how the parents are in Long Island girls, they never really let go. And
Okay, yeah.
And
Yep.
you know, and having said that, and then the mother got sick with breast cancer, and then you're not going to move their daughter away from the mother, and
Sure.
and the only grandkid at the time. Yeah, if
On a
I
li-
would have did that, my life would have been over then. You know, it would have been great wrestling or whatever, but
Right.
yeah, but you lose what really is important.
On a lighter note, Don the Barber says Blaze is single. I don't know if you know who Blaze is, but Blaze used to be the girlfriend of Hannibal. They've recently broken up, so hey. James.
There's lots of shopping out there
And
for you.
Blaze.
If
Thanks.
you get interested, you can take the card out and find,
Yeah, I don't know. Like I got so many different things I'm working on. I'm working on a graphic novel. I'm working on several different
Graphic
movies.
novel?
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
you know, and I do a lot of things on my own. You know, I see my vision all the way to the end myself. I don't depend on nobody.
I love it.
I'm running this wrestling federation called NAX, the North American Experience. We got a big event coming up this weekend.
So you're a promoter and wrestler.
Yep.
So tell us about promoting.
Well, I was also part of FWE. I don't know if you guys heard of that federation when it was around. I was actually that was my concept. Jordan Schneider was my student. And, when he came into some of his money, then he opened up the company. Kind of got a little bit like, you know how it is. When the circles are small, it was tight. It was great. The minute that the circle got too big, the things disappear. But it was a great thing. I was proud of doing that. And I had a big play in getting that done, getting the buildings, getting people to come in and first start working with us. And then once the ball is rolling and people see there's something there, everybody becomes your best friend. And they just use you to step on you to advance their own self. Yeah.
Life of the wrestler.
Life
Life is hard enough as is. Once you get involved in that kind of crap. It
No,
gets
wrestling is tough.
becomes a
I mean, I work in so many different aspects of entertainment, right? Music, acting, and professional wrestling. And I've also done, I was a Muay Thai fighter for 3 years for Saitan Gym out of Astoria. And I also competed at Madison Square Garden 3 times as in Taekwondo for the World Martial Arts Organization. They used to have their Hall of Fame events there. And I did some exhibition fighting there. Then I was proud of that as well.
What's it feel like fighting in the garden?
It's just surreal. Like, when you get an opportunity to do stuff like that, like, because it's Madison Square Garden. Dude. Now I live down the street. I live on 23rd and 7th.
It's freaking awesome. So if people don't know James for his acting, he's actually, he plays Andre the Giant in The Brawler, which I really did enjoy that movie very much. One thing I will say, though, whose idea was to have you eating chicken in a chair? Like, what was that?
Well,
I'm watching it, I'm enjoying it. I'm like, who decides, make a meat a piece of chicken?
I mean, the thing is this, right? I won't trash nobody on the set, because for me it was a big opportunity.
Right,
Because
sure,
now having
sure,
played
sure.
Andre the Giant, and you can say that you did that, like your name, it says Andre the Giant, then next to it's your name. It's like,
There you go.
so it just blows your mind
Awesome.
forever.
All right, so
Awesome.
trash the chicken then.
Besides my uncle, like Andre the Giant was the most influential person on me when I was young.
Yeah.
And when I was young, backstage, like 9 years old, and my dad tapped my uncle on the shoulder, and he brought us in the back, and we're back there, and they had all these different wrestlers from way back there, like the Strong Bows and the Samoans,
boy.
and Don Morocco and Paul Orndorff and people like that walking around. And then there's Andre the Giant, and it's like, as a young person, nobody ever left me dumbfounded, to be right in the presence in 1978 or 1979 in Madison Square Garden backstage, and then Michael's like, "Hey, Baron, hey, Andre, come over here. I want you to meet my nephews," because I was there with my brother. And then he came over, "Hey, Baron," right?
You want a peanut?
How did I know? Can you do the Princess Bride for him, please? Please? Daddy, want a peanut? He's got to get his throat relaxed first, yeah.
So Andre came over, and he tapped me on the head, and his hand was so big that was tapping me in the center of my chest area here with his fingers, like, psh, psh,
My
psh.
God.
And I was just dumbfounded like that. I couldn't believe it. And move forward. The dread Private Roberts is here. But soon you will not be here.
pretty good.
How old were you when you met Andre that time? What are you?
Like 8 years old.
8 years
or
old.
something like
Looking
that.
up at a skyscraper. Wow.
It was unbelievable. Just to be back there, I felt like it was like a magical land of superheroes, you know.
Yeah.
But going back to the Brawler,
Right.
you had a lot of famous actors, and there's quite a lineup of a lot of famous actors, and I thought you did a really good job. But again, I don't understand.
I'm going to tell you the chicken thing, right?
Please tell me.
All right.
Like, who comes up like,
Now,
you know what? He should be
I got
eating
to
a
tell
piece
you
of
that,
chicken.
like, I'm the only person who studied the thing. I did the fight scene, right, coordinating for it because nobody really watched the fight scene. The editing was completely chopped around. There was a whole bunch of things that happened in the thing that we actually filmed that they never put in. And I'll be honest with you, I think it could have been a much bigger scene. It ended up being a big scene and getting a lot of hype from being Andre and that stuff. You know, I talked to the people from the Young Rock show. Brett Azar, the Iron Sheik guy, is a friend of mine. He just drew a portrait of me, half the face of me and half the face of Andre, like I have on my Facebook profile right now. But yeah, so they wanted to do like a comedy scene in the background, and that's what it was. It was like, you know, there was some old pictures of Andre with like a chicken or a turkey in front of him, and he's like going like that. And so they kind of wanted to do like this thing. And they're like, yeah, just dig into the chicken and this and that, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, eating the hell out of that chicken, you know. And then these guys are like supposed to be getting intimidated by seeing me eat the chicken
Right.
and just storm off and say, make sure you tell them that, you know, that this is the way it's got to be, you know.
Because there's actually 2 movies on Wepner, right?
Yeah,
And
the Lee Shriver movie.
Yes, yep.
Right, I'm not sure. I think it was called Chuck.
Yep, you're right.
Mm-hmm. And I did watch it, and I thought it hit in some spots, and I thought our movie hit in spots that movie didn't hit, like a lot of the Stallone.
So you took the words right out. Like with the Brawler, it hits in different spots that are better, but then there's things like the chicken, or for example, this is in 1970, and they're going to arrest. You should watch it. It's a very good movie, but they go to arrest. I guess they're doing some kind of bookie stuff, and they pull up to a "You Break Fix," and they leave the sign up. I'm like, come on,
Wait
man!
a second.
You gotta cut that out.
So what we need is a director's cut. Is that what you're getting at here?
In truth, man, I wish I could sit down with a different editor.
It's a director's cut.
And do that thing. I'm become friends with the director, Ken Kushner. I'm friends with everybody on the set. They all said it was really cool. Like, working with them and stuff like that. And since then I've been in probably over a dozen other movies that are in development. Some have been out, short films, some are long films, some are feature films. And a lot of things are happening from that. And I was telling when one of the producers came in looking for me, because I live in the city, right? So, you know, one of the guys lives like two buildings over. And he comes in and it tells my doorman, do you got somebody who lives here that's an actor and a wrestler? I heard somebody that lives here that's an actor and a wrestler, because they were looking for somebody to play Andre locally. Right. And it says, hold on, let me see if he's upstairs. I call, there's a guy looking for you. All right, come down. I said, how you doing? He said, are you an actor and a wrestler? He's looking at me up and down. I said, I'm a professional wrestler. I've done like little acting gigs where like I played a bouncer at a door or this and that, or somebody's college film or something like that. But I'm not Marlon Brando, if that's what you're asking, you know? And I was like, but he's like, it's okay. It's like, have you heard of the name Chuck Wepner? I said, I've heard of the name. I know it's an older name, but to be honest with you, I can't place the face. And he says, it's all right if you don't know. I said, all right. And then he starts to tell me how he was the Bayonne bleeder and how, you know, he fought Sonny Liston and George Foreman, and he went the distance with Ali and scored a knockdown in Ali, and how Stallone, you know, used his life story and switched the names around and made it a little bit sensationalized and came out with the movie about this guy's the real Rocky. And then in 1976 in Shea Stadium, he fought Andre the Giant, and we're looking for somebody to do Andre the Giant. Now, at the time this happened, I was in really good shape, and now I had like only 5.5 weeks to gain all this massive weight and show up with the stomach. Because if I didn't show up with the stomach, they told me that they're just going to use like pay to use the video footage, and they just wouldn't use me, you know. So I was like, bam. have to starting that next day, started eating like a
How
maniac.
much weight did you have to gain in 5.5 weeks?
Well, I actually ended up gaining 46 pounds.
Jeez.
Man,
I was gaining about 9 pounds a week.
we hit McDonald's drive-through 4 or 5 times a day. I mean, how are we gaining this weight? What'd you do? What'd you
Well, I'll
eat?
tell you, I had to start, eating like a giant, sleeping like a giant. It was like you had to get into the whole.
Were you drinking like
The
a
whole
giant
night.
too? Or were you trying to knock
Every
out?
morning, I would eat the same thing every day. And I still was working out on my stomach, so I had like this big stomach, but it was like muscular, a little bit like
Right.
the Iron Sheik and stuff,
Yeah.
And so I just started eating half a loaf of wheat bread in the morning, right? 10 eggs, right?
Jesus
10 eggs, a quarter pound of meat, whatever it is, turkey, roast beef, pastrami, whatever, avocado, tomato, and all of this stuff is like my breakfast, right? So it's kind of healthy, but it's a lot, right?
Right.
Then I would go for my first lunch at 12 o'clock. I go to the Dominican spot, rice and beans,
Your first lunch.
first lunch,
First lunch.
right? Then
Rice and beans.
2 o'clock, I go for my second
Second
lunch. Back to the Dominican spot, rice and beans again.
He's torturing himself.
I would like
This is horrible.
that. And then at night, steaks, potatoes, milkshakes,
Nice.
cheesecakes,
Wow.
you name it. I mean, it was just eating every day like that. And it was disgusting.
Man, you're pretty cool, dude.
How about in the middle of the night, though, when you were first doing this? Like, are you getting woken up in the middle of the night because you got to, like, take care of...
Oh, are you kidding me, bro? It was like literally like having a baby, bro. It was like, yeah, the gas pains were like a kid kicking around. My stomach was out here like this. I'm rolling over to the left. I'm rolling over to the right. I got the body pillow. I can't get comfortable. It's just, it sucked.
Wow.
But I did it. And when
That's
I showed up
dedication.
on set
There you go.
and people saw how I looked, they were like, wow. Next thing you know, everybody's lining up to take pictures with me. And I knew
Awesome.
I did something.
Awesome.
Amazing.
So, rocker. I'm going to call you a rocker.
Yeah.
Actor.
Artist.
Pro wrestler.
Don't forget the graphic
And
artist.
obviously
Yeah.
a professional in the real world. What is your favorite thing to do?
My favorite thing to do is actually, just being with my kids. That's the best thing. But outside of that, as far as entertainment, it has been professional wrestling. It always was. But now it's becoming more equally the acting and the music, because everything I do it with 2 feet. I put 100% of myself into it. And if it doesn't do that, it doesn't work. As a professional wrestler, it like got me ready for everything in life. It's so amazing. Like I'm key like fight scene coordinator now. I've done fight scene coordinating in about 10 movies. Worked with all different kinds of people. I actually went to a stunt school too to see the way they do it. But I wasn't really impressed as a wrestler because we do it like one time all the way through in front of a live audience all the
Right,
time.
right.
We can't yell cut. And when I get on the set and we do these things like I just did in this movie Good Friday, right? You were there when we did the fight scene at Parisi Bakery and when we did a fight scene over at in the wedding. And it was just like I had coordinated. I got wrestlers from all over. Mike Verner, who's a kid over here from Brooklyn and Staten Island, and he's been on AEW. And he's just a beautiful, like jacked up young guy from New York, a good kid from the area. And I brought in my tag team partner, who's ranked 5 in Japan, Johnny Valletta, one half of the Maltese Marauders, which is my tag team. And I brought in just a bunch of other local indie guys, and we did this fight scene at a thing, and where we end up, some other group comes and crashes the party, and they're not invited, and it's like an Italian wedding. So then we like kind of team up, like even though we're like rivals, we team up to throw out these guys to show up uninvited. And we end up putting them through tables, through the Venetian table. It's really cool.
I checked these tables out. I was like, these were hardcore tables.
They weren't gimmicked?
No
Ow.
gimmick tables.
No.
Ow.
Gimmick tables kind of suck.
Do they?
Yeah,
Tell why.
and I'll tell you why. Because like when you have the frame still on it and stuff, all right. Sometimes you guys see the old ECW shows when the dudes used to get like ripped open in their back from the middle frame. But just generally, if you go through a table and it doesn't twist on you like that, the frame will kind of like buckled the fall a little bit. But if the thing's gimmicked through, you just free fall through the thing at the real speed, and there's no like kind of brace for the impact. I mean, it's
Right.
still impactful.
Right.
Like, you know what it is? Like, people always with their shit with professional wrestling, right? And I tell people, I said, yeah. I says, is murder legal? I says, murder legal? You want me to go and drop the guy on his head and kill the fucking guy? I said, are you going to bring your 9-year-old kid to come and see me with doing stuff like that? Is the show going to go on? Are we going to get ratings?
Right. Right.
No. I said, but people have died in the ring.
Sure.
And what I'm doing, you bet your ass, is the toughest, roughest, most... I've done all kinds of sports. You guys see me. I'm a sports guy.
Mm-hmm.
Wrestling is the hardest. I've done all kinds of like full contact fighting. Wrestling is the hardest.
So let me ask you this: you got your own organization.
Mm-hmm.
You're a movie actor.
Uh-huh.
These are tough lifestyles, right? Because again, as popular as you can get, it could be very difficult. So, especially running your own organization in an independent spot. What's a good day in the office? Like, what are you expecting as a promoter, as a fan turnout? Like, if 20 people turn out, are you like, oh my God, this is a nightmare?
That's a disaster.
Right.
Right. I mean, you want to get at least 100 people or better every show. I mean, the ideal is to have at least, 300, 400 steady people following you around no matter where you go, get some kind of cult following and stuff. But, we're not at that point. This is going to be our 5th or 6th show.
And how the show's been going?
And the shows have been going good. I mean, this show here is a really good show, and it's an extravaganza. We're going to have music. We're going to have the girl who sang the America the Beautiful at the Islander game.
Nice.
She's going to come over and she's going to sing America the Beautiful for us. We got, I think her name's Mia Asta, right? And we got a guy's going to come and do some magic tricks. We got, I'm going to play there with my band too.
So you got a little wrestling, got a
music.
little rock and roll.
We got an Elvis impersonator.
Not bad.
And we got a sit-down dinner. So we're kind of doing it like the Slammies. We're kind of doing it like the 90s Slammies or back into the 70s when they used to have like these banquet-type
And,
dinners.
okay, so can you tell the fans out there where it's going to be, the name of your company again?
Well, it's called NAX. It stands for North American Experience. The X is also the X Factor. It could be explosion. It could be excitement,
Sure.
So the X is the X Factor. It can basically stand for anything. It could be X-rated. But not really, because we got like a family type of environment. I believe in selling 5 to 6 tickets to the family instead of 2 tickets to just people who just
Right.
who don't care about family
Fan
stuff.
Dave Holland says you look like Chuck Palumbo.
Chuck Palumbo, that's
Chuck
a great.
Palumbo.
That's not a bad
Yo,
compliment.
that's a dude. That dude's way more handsome than me.
So let me ask you this: the movie thing, right? A lot of people in movies now. Look, we say it all the time. We were just fans. I decided to do a little bit of show. It got pretty popular, but anybody can become anything now.
Right, that's great.
But so here's my question: you do these movies and stuff, and I always wonder. Like, I see a lot of producers making movies, and I say this to the Pharaoh all the time. I'm like, all these people are making movies and they're generating money for these movies, but I never see these movies. Like, I've seen you in movies, right? So that's how you know, like, you've arrived.
Right.
But I see a lot of other, like, when you're in these movies, do they get put out in the market? Do people see them?
Some people do, some people don't. I'll tell you, no matter what I do, I try to get some kind of like footage from it, and so I can add it to a reel, and I can put it on my YouTube channel, and people can check it out there if they can't find it. I mean, Vinny Vella, the guy from Casino.
Yeah.
When he's yelling at his mother in the thing about he's going to hit somebody with a shovel and they make me do this and make me do that, and the FBI was listening to them. Well, he gave me some great advice. He was a great person. He says, you do things, and it's so true. And it's just these words were like ringing through to me. He says, do you love it? Are you doing these things because you love it? I said, yeah. He says, so you're doing good. He says, if you make money, you make money. If you don't, you don't. Just keep doing it because you love it, and you're always going to stay ahead of the game, because most people are doing what they have to do. And I'm doing what I love to do.
Right.
And just doing what you love to do is something that people dream about, and it never becomes to fruition for them. So, for me, that's every day of my life is like that. And I'm doing what I love to do, and I'm happy to do it. And that in itself makes me, rich, because, if you're measuring yourself in dollars and cents, then you're really missing what life is about, because the greatest things in life, it doesn't cost a penny. The sunrise and the sunset, the changing of the tides, somebody's respect for you because of you, somebody's friendship or love for you, just because just because of you, not because they want to hook up from you, not because they want something for you, but just for you. So I feel like in that, I'm the richest man in the world.
When you first became aware of pro wrestling,
Do you know energy drink, pop?
up, pop. When you first became aware of wrestling, obviously Baron Mikhail Cicluna being your uncle, did you want to be one right away? How did you work your relationship with your uncle to get into the business?
Thing was
to
is
learn
that
more?
like I knew that I was going to be like rough, so I knew I had to get into a certain type of shape first. So that's when I had joined Saitan Gym and I started doing Thai boxing. So when I came into doing professional wrestling, I was still competing in Thai boxing. So I was disciplined. I was all the things that the old guys were, right?
Did you
and
seek
then
your-
welcome to the New York City indie scene, which
Yeah.
is completely none of that.
None of that. Did you seek out, your uncle for advice?
Yeah, at first I went to the Doghouse Wrestling School that was run by Bobby Lombardi, and the people who were in there at that time was Low Key, Homicide,
Loki. Homicide. Right.
and Spanish Angel, and
Spanish Angel.
and people like that who were in the school at the time, right? And a couple other people, Dan Moff, right? Monster
Dan
Mac,
Moff,
the
yeah,
Hit
sure.
Squad. These guys, it was a tough school. They would say if you could survive a certain amount of weeks in there, then you got a good shot at making it, because it was like no sissies, And so that was cool. So I went through there. I kind of learned the basics, and then then I asked my dad to call my uncle and see if he would accept me over there in Pittsburgh to go there and stay with him and train in this place in the Pittsburgh vicinity. And he's also good friends with Dominic DiNucci as well.
Sure.
And him, Bruno, and Dominic actually lived within I think 6 miles of each other. So even though they retired and they used to go around traveling together doing this stuff, and they used to do all this stuff, when they retired, they remained together. And when my uncle passed away, Bruno, whose wife was dying at the time in the hospital, left her side to come to the wake for my uncle, and I thought that was great too.
All right, well, we'll be right back with the Maltese mauler, James Bonavia.
Malta the Damager. I know people always get it. It doesn't roll off the tongue. If I tell you how I got the name, then you'd understand it better.
Well, I'm going to ask you at the commercial break, and then maybe we have to make an adjustment to that name, because I'm good at making names up.
Yeah, you are. We'll see you in a second.
My tag team, though, was the Malta.
You want to star in your own success? Call QuickCast, www.quickcast.com, 866-7-CAST-NOW. That's 866-7-CAST-NOW. QuickCast.
Start your own success.
Jimmy, I just got the best hookup on tickets.
Fill me in.
I went to www.seatslinks.com and ordered the best tickets with the best prices.
Call 718-676-0504. SeatsLink, the complete ticket experience.
Tell them Charles sent you. You need a body shop? You need engine repair? Auto Excellence, Collision Specialists, 631-261-6420. That's 631-261-6420. Auto Excellence. In the mood for a freshly roasted cup of coffee? www.offtherailscoffeeroasters.com.
Do you treat your dog as part of the family? Well, so do we. So why not celebrate your pup's birthday with the ultimate party box? Check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Party Pup Info, and let us make your pup's party or any celebration perfection.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte and the Pharaoh, seen only here out of Indie Music TV, out of Long Island, New York. We're having a great time speaking to James Bonavia.
Yes, sir.
So, James, we were talking about your wrestling organization, and we were talking about, while commercial break was going on, about today's wrestling. You're running your own organization now. I'm going to assume that you're have more of an old school mentality considering who's trained you, who your uncle is, but you're now playing to today's wrestling fan,
Right.
who doesn't want to watch a 5-minute armbar or a cool down. How do you handle your mind against what I guess works? I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what we strive for, right? You don't always get what you want in every match, but what we strive for is the basic combination, all right, of technical old school, strong style Japan with a little bit of the new school flippy, you know, all of that flippy stuff. And, you know, because it is what it is, you know. So I think a good combination of everything is good, you know. You bring in the lucha style, bring in the big power style. I want to have a whole different variety. When we were younger, the thing that made wrestling great was that the guys themselves were phenomenal. If you ever shook the hand of a real veteran professional wrestler, it's like they got leather mitts on. All right, these guys were the real deal. It was never fake for them. All right.
Right.
So I think the balance in it is the combination of everything. So if you can bring it all into the fold, you have a good recipe. It shouldn't be too much this way. It shouldn't be you make a little something for everybody. I think the women are the hottest thing in professional wrestling now. Watching the women matches and the way that I mean, this is not, you know, in all due respect to like Wendy Richter and stuff like that. This is not like a Wendy Richter, a Fabulous Moolah match.
Are you trying to say that like Sasha Banks, Moolah wasn't as hot as Sasha Banks, or?
Oh, Moolah was hot in her own way.
Yeah, man. Like smelly feet. She's
That's
awesome.
it. Like
Think about that. When we grow up, we had to watch
No,
Moolah.
but she was. But I'll tell you something. I
Velvet.
miss those
Velvet.
characters. You know,
Those feet.
I liked what's the girl's name? The big girl, Nia Jax.
Yeah, yeah.
You like Nia Jax?
I like Nia Jax.
She was brutal.
Style, because you know I don't want to see everybody as like an ex-stripper portrayed to be a wrestler type of deal. You know what I'm saying? It's cool, and I like people like you would say Fabulous Moolah, because that lady had like a crazy. Nobody looked like her. She was scary.
Yeah.
When we were kids and we
Legit
saw
beat your
Moolah,
ass.
bro,
Moolah,
even though
yeah.
it was a girl cutting a promo, you were scared because she had that
Yeah.
thing that nobody else had.
Right.
You know, but yeah, I mean, the women today are tremendous athletes. Every time I watch them, another one of my favorites is Alexa Bliss.
Hey,
And-
there
and-
we go.
and-
Mandy
Right.
Rose.
And also,
Say Mandy.
um,
No
Hold on.
No
Mandy Rose.
No Mandy Rose?
no, Charlotte Flair.
No. Wow.
No, Mandy
Okay.
Rose is good, but she's
Okay.
not my favorite.
All
You know,
right,
they're
got it.
good. I'm not
Halfway.
saying they're horrible
Okay.
wrestlers.
No, I got
I'm
that.
just saying some of them stick out, you know. The other girl, I'm the man.
Becky Lynch.
Becky
Lynch,
Lynch,
yeah.
yeah, she's another like tremendous energy.
When you see
Dewdrop. Like Dewdrop.
Dewdrop. Stop with Dewdrop. No, ignore that. Dewdrop. When you see the girls today, do you feel like when you think back on a Sherry Martel, was she way ahead of her curve back in the day?
Oh, Sherry
I mean,
was
come
out
on
of-
now.
Yeah, Sherry
There we go.
is still revolutionary today.
Thank you.
These girls haven't reached the
No.
Sherry level yet.
Nope. Do you?
As a matter of fact, I'm friends with Jeannie Bassoon, who's Hollywood from the original Glow, and her too. Like her and Vine, Hollywood and Vine, they were the originals. You know,
Sure.
Glow was way before their time. They're talking about the women's movement now.
Right.
It took this long for the WWE to wake up with that. Glow had this thing going on in the '80s.
Good
Right.
friend of the show, Hollywood. It's a
There
good
you go,
friend of our
Hollywood.
show.
Yeah,
Triple A
absolutely.
out says he looked like a young Andre in the movie. It's on YouTube. It's on Tubi for free. It's with Joe Padalino from Sopranos,
There we go.
who
Thanks
was
for looking
Ralph
it
in
up.
Sopranos, and it's definitely a good movie. It is a good
you go.
movie. It is. So, when were you smartened up? Did your uncle ever smarten you up to the sport?
Meaning what?
Tell you, son, it's fake.
Well, the thing about it is like I told I'm gonna kill that statement for
Sure.
everybody for the rest of their lives. All
Okay,
right.
go ahead.
So I was in Malta, right, and at the time there was no professional wrestling company there. Now we got Pro Wrestling Malta going on there, right? And so somebody who was like the Howard Cosell of Malta wanted to interview me, right? But there was no wrestling schools there, no wrestling rings. So they said, would you spar against the heavyweight champion, Billy Corrido, who was a champion in different European countries and was holding the title in Malta? And I said, yes. Even though I was drinking the night before and I was on vacation. But I said, I'll do anything because I grew up in the streets of Astoria at the time where you had to know how to fight or your parents would move you off the block somewhere where soft people could survive. You know, so I'll stand up to anybody anytime, right? So I says, all right. So I get over there and I meet Billy. And me and Billy are really close friends now since we had this 3-round sparring session. And I did it on his level in boxing. He had the headgear and the waist thing on. I didn't have nothing. It's on YouTube. You can watch it. And we sparred 3 rounds at each other. Now nobody's lasted. I think the whole fight with Billy like scores knockouts on people, and I felt his shots, man, because it's a heavyweight and his thing. But I says, all right. He says, yeah, you know, we heard of this SmackDown wrestling here, but you know, we don't really respect it. I said, well, hold on a second. I says, when somebody goes to hit you, do you sit there and get hit? No, I got 20 different ways to defend against everything. I said, so what you're telling me is that in the fight, it's your goal not to get hit. And you're moving around the best not to get hit in the fight. I says, when I fight and I go out there, I know somebody's going to come swinging a steel chair at me, and I walk right into it with my hands down. Right. And I take it right on the dome to entertain people. I says, is there anything fake about that? Nope. I said, do you ever see somebody's chest after they got chopped by the Big Show or Viscera, who I fought twice? Ooh. And I did a tag team with him once. I says, you take shots from these guys, they'll break every blood vessel in your chest. You're just going to be glowing. I said, people have died doing what we do. I says, it's easy to come at somebody at 100% and hit them. But how hard is it to come at somebody with 100% velocity, make like maybe 25 to 40% contact, all right? And try to hold back with the rest so that you could get through the match and you don't knock the guy out or kill him. I said, it's very difficult. And people have lost their lives doing it. And I have friends that became paraplegics in their 20s because they're trying to do 720 rotations and push the thing and become the next biggest thing. So, you know, people have died. You know, did you see when La Parka went through the ring and broke his neck? Sure. And when Rey Mysterio accidentally killed the guy in Mexico?
Pharaoh Aguayo Jr. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So this thing's, yep. I mean, if it was, look at me, I had torn bicep surgery, broke my collarbone in 2 places, had teeth knocked out of my mouth, separated my shoulder, dislocated my shoulder. I just now had a quadricep surgery probably about like 2.5 months ago. And, you know, it's not the things that you go through. I'm not sitting here complaining about it. The thing is about us is that we I was wrestling with the torn quadricep for like 4 months, fulfilling obligations. Typing yourself up, putting ace bandage around, a little duct tape about that, and then you wheel yourself out to the ring and try to tear down the house.
What's a payday for someone like yourself working shows in the independent scene?
Well, it all depends on the venue. Like, I work all kinds of venues. You know, I do...
Best venue. Give me your best venue. How many people? How much would you take in?
The most that I ever got paid at a wrestling show for me on my level
yes, sir.
is $1,500.
It's pretty good. That's really good.
For a night's work.
And then, you know, I'll work anywhere along the line because I'm working with promoters, you see, to try to get people in there. So I'll work anywhere from a certain amount and up. You know, there's a certain amount that I won't work under after being in it so long, you know. And, you know, if you have a big gate, you deserve big money. If you work into a place that, like you're saying, only has, you know,
30 people.
100 people or 30 people, then, you know, you can only expect indie pay.
But you give your best effort
all the time. I mean,
people to
you
30
have
people.
to. In wrestling, if you don't give your best effort, you're going to not complete a rotation. You're going to hesitate on a move. You're going to hurt yourself. You got to go in there balls all the time. Put the pedal to the metal, you know. Otherwise, pack it in, you know.
I love your line, man. You love what you do, and it's not about money, and it's pretty cool stuff.
Listen, I mean, like I said,
very impressive.
I work as a super. I've been in the union for 32 years. I make my money. So I have my money. I'm going to have a nice retirement. A lot of guys that left their families and everything else, they didn't have that. Now they're making big money. But back in the day, like we're talking about Andre, the stories my uncle would tell me about it and how they couldn't find rent-a-cars big enough for them. So they like rent like a Toyota pickup truck, and it'd be cold as hell, and they'd be driving from New Jersey to Buffalo, and they'd just leave him back there with 2 bottles of Jack Daniels and a couple of cases of beer, and he'd just sit back there, keep him warm with that, and it's like sub-zero temperatures up there. So these guys sacrificed everything, you know.
Did your uncle work a side job, or did he just?
Yeah, like him and a lot of wrestlers. I know you probably heard this before, since you guys probably been doing this for a long time. But he worked for the New York Times. The dispatcher for the New York Times for the delivery driver guys was a wrestling fan guy. And he had everybody working there. Tito Santana, all of these guys were all working as night drivers for the day. And then when they would have to go to places and wrestle on the weekend, if they had to work that weekend, someone else would cover them. And then they'd have to come back after wrestling on the weekend.
So wait a minute.
And then work double shifts to make up for not being here during the weekend. You know what I mean?
But Tito was like delivering papers type of thing?
Like driving trucks to the newsstands.
And like
Delivering bundles.
like they would throw it off to the toss them off.
No, I mean, listen.
Would he be like, Arriba!
Wild.
Arriba!
That's great.
That is awesome.
That is
Yeah.
wild.
I worked a match, me and my uncle. My uncle walked me out against Jay Santana and Tito Santana right here in the Aviator building in Brooklyn. It was great. It was for a company called WPW.
Wow.
They had a lot of money behind it. They had Goomba Johnny and this and that. And I fought just incredible at the Resort World Casino. And I won the Empire State Championship that night, and it was cool. And Roddy Piper was on the show. Wow. He did a Piper's Pit with Ace Orton, with the Big O that you guys got to know from Long Island, right?
Sure. Of course,
and it was really cool stuff.
Wow.
All right, James. So we're almost out of time.
I could talk to you guys forever about this
Man,
stuff.
you
having a great time, bro.
We're having a great time, and you're a pretty impressive human being.
Absolutely.
I got to tell you.
Yep.
We can hit you with something called the Pharaoh's Final Question, not scripted.
Oh,
he's finally got to know you
Not
from this
scripted.
interview. He's going to hit you. I don't know what he's going to ask you, but the Pharaoh's Final
I
Question.
didn't read the script anyway.
You didn't.
There you go.
We
here.
do.
Here you go. Here's a copy. All right. Let's see. You mentioned the women. They're doing great nowadays. It's about time, but they are. Do you feel when it comes to the men, because you mentioned the flip-flop fest before, and it seems like nowadays you can't be a fan of both. At least that's the way the company's philosophies.
No, you can. There's a lot of wrestlers that are just tremendous in there.
Do you feel that wrestling in its current form is kind of ruined compared to the greatness that we grew up with? Would you say that wrestling is tarnished a little, or what's your take on the current state?
No, it's not. But I'll tell you what it takes is all of these people who feel like that need to get together and put their money into something. You see? Let your money do your talking, not just your words. And because these people who grow up on this wrestling, they don't know any other wrestling.
Right.
They may later on, after being a wrestling fan for 10 years, start looking on the internet and watching some old matches. They may discover who Bruce or Brody is one day. Who knows?
Sure.
Right? But it's up to us to bring things back. It's up to us. We have the formula. You know, the promoter holds the carrot. If the whole promoter held a different carrot, you'd have them following something different.
Right.
They will follow whoever's holding the carrot. So to me, I agree with you. Like, I love old school wrestling and wrestlers. Like the guy Trevor Murdoch, he had a nice
NWA,
old school style, you know, pulling people over, rubbing the elbow across the face. I like that. Like, I'll tell you what I don't like. I don't like pass-bys. I don't like wheelbarrows, guys, for some reason, throwing themselves backwards with their legs spread so somebody can pick them up and put them into and give them a bulldog. I think that's trash. I think that would never happen. I don't like that people are getting dumped on their heads and bombed through God knows what, on the apron, this and that, and they're back up jumping to the top rope a minute later. I mean, for me, as a person who loves the art and the theater of professional wrestling and the athleticism and the guts and the hard-nosed things and the guys with the leather hands and the cauliflower ears, you see? That's what I think a lot of us like. But what you have on here is, you know, God forbid you hurt one of these guys, you're gone in wrestling, you know? So it's it's the recipe is successful, but the machine has gotten so big, that which makes the whole AEW thing very interesting now. I mean, who do you think is on the top of the market? Not who has the money and who's been around for 70 years, and no, but who do you think has got the hottest things going on? And then the AEW thing was just recently hotter than it is right now. Mm-hmm. But now that you got all of the people kind of defecting from the WWE that's there, now it's reminding you of what happened to WCW.
That's right.
WCW was good when they had Sting and Vader over there, and you had Hogan and everybody, and Macho and everybody else over here, and it was its own thing. ECW was its own thing.
Right.
ECW was like the well-known guys who were there. Was Raven.
Sandman.
Well, I'm just saying,
Dudley's.
basically at that time, Raven was there. Shane Douglas,
right,
and when Jerry the King Lawler came there. Those were the three big WWE names. Everybody else came from Monster Factory and Johnny Rogers Gym, or were damn good international or indie fighters. It's kind of like what we are doing in NAX. And that's why I always point to ECW as somebody who got it right. They did it in their own lane.
They sure
the
did.
guys were not selfish. They were pissed. You heard of times when Paulie couldn't pay people. But, hey, listen, if you don't draw on the door, what do you expect us? You want me to pay you and this is going to be the last show that we do and all the shows that we did up to this is now worth nothing because you guys want me to take the whole loss by myself all the time? And that's what the thing is as a promoter, But they stood in there because they believed in the product. So if you got a good team, a brotherhood, real brotherhood, not just self-serving opportunists, with guys that want to get the truck or the bus up to the top, push it together, and then all jump in and ride down together. That's what I think is the best recipe for success for anybody. And these guys were doing really good in AEW with Jericho and the Bucks, and when Cody Rhodes came and all this stuff, it was really, really, really big. And then they had all this great indie talent, which a lot of these guys I know, and I'm happy to see so much opportunity that the AEW gives all of these young, great, some of them are great indie veterans, like for instance Eddie Kingston, right? I know him since the Pro Wrestling Syndicate days, since Pro Wrestling Syndicate
PWS,
PWS. Yep. And also Frank Goodman's USA Pro and all these other things, right? I know a lot of these guys from there, but to see them finally get up there and get a chance, not just get monopolized by certain wrestlers that are there for 30 years and nobody gets a chance,
Right.
Because that genre's already full,
Well, I got to tell you, not only are we impressed, but the fans are impressed. They love the interview, and they really say how much you know your stuff. So thank you again.
Well,
for
thanks. You
entertaining
guys
us.
can follow me. I have my own Facebook page under my name, James Dijan, Dijan Bonavia, Bonavia, on Facebook. Or you can follow my fan page. It's Malta the Damager. It's also Malta the Damager on Instagram. And yes, I got the name Malta the Damager just real quick because I'm also credited with, the originator of slam dancing. Type of deal,
Okay.
like going in like CBGBs and the Ritz and all this stuff.
That was you that hip checked me back in the day?
Oh no! If you got probably a spinning roundhouse, that was probably me.
That was you.
Yeah.
Right.
So you created the mosh pit?
No, I slam dancing. I'm the innovator of slam
There's a
dancing.
difference. Yeah.
So when I used to go
Ouch.
out there,
Either way.
because my brother was playing in his bands, Crown of Thorns and Breakdown, Show of Force, and
Thorns.
that's my
nice.
brother Mike,
Yeah,
is the
there we
guitar player, right?
Okay.
Mike Dijan, and so I used to go out supporting. But I remember being a kid getting turned away at the door at 12 years old, and then we finally got into CBGBs, right? And there was these big dudes there, all these punk rockers with mohawks and shaved heads, and like safety pins all over their jackets and spikes, and it was rough
I
back
think
then.
that's bad. You should check out the CBGB's bathroom, but go on.
So back then, right, slam dancing was like, dudes doing floor walks, banging their head, bumping their shoulders, and then the kind of like little ska thing, the ska move. But then what happened was, like, there was a lot of gangs, people from broken homes back then, and people started swinging blackjacks in the mosh pit, 007 knives, chains. I ain't kidding you. Hammers. The guy Minus from Marauder, the original singer from Marauder, swinging a hammer in the mosh pit. So I was there supporting my brother in my neighborhood bands like Leeway, Murphy's Law, and guys like that from
Murphy's
Astoria,
Law.
Outburst, and and to stay in the pit and support them and dance and keep these people away, I started throwing kicks and punches, and I kind of innovated the dance from bumping shoulders and floor walks and ska
To karate
moves
kicks.
Yeah.
to like a
Spinning roundhouse.
almost like the Tasmanian devil. Like
Like
you're just
you're showing
moving
off
around
your
in this
hands
fight
to me.
dance,
Yeah.
like you dance and you're doing fight moves at the same time. And if anybody gets caught in your way, then they're gonna get laid out.
Right.
And if people respect your space, then you're gonna be in the center of the
There you go.
floor.
There
So
you go.
because I was Maltese, and I'm a pretty stand-up dude, and when I go into mosh pits in some of the biggest clubs ever back in the day when the scene was big, and I create big holes in it, the people named me Malta the Damager. So for that, I'm never gonna change my name.
There you go.
Nice.
And with that, that's Malta the Damager.
Anybody for a slam dance?
All right, we'll be back with long time coming, Mr. USA Tony Atlas, in about 5 minutes.
All righty. You've been watching Monte and the Pharaoh until, what would you say, 5 minutes?
Not even.
We'll see you in less than 5
Rocky
minutes.
Johnson and Tony Atlas.
There we go.
Those dudes are awesome.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you in
James,
a
thanks
second.
again, my
Thanks,
friend.
James.
What a great show. Thank you.
Later.